Hi everybody. Okay, so the supplies we're going to need for this project are some jewelry working tools, a piece of cardboard any size, some of these, and this is embroidery floss. This is what you're going to use to make your tassels. And there's all different colors I have over here. And this one's going to be a nice like summery blue boho type one. This one is a little shimmery. It's different. These fall apart pretty easy, this one. It's a metallic one. The other ones are easier to work with, but it still looks nice. Sorry, I had a little bit of problem with my camera for some reason. Okay, another thing you'll need are these bead caps and some wire and a scissor and some jump rings. Now these are smaller ones. You're going to need bigger ones as well, but these little ones will do. So I'm going to pick these. This is the color I'm going to be working with for our first pair. So now I'm going to look through some of the caps that you can use. These are flatter caps. They're not bell caps like these, but they still work. I did a pair of tassels with them. Okay, and you can also go through and use some beads. I also had other beads, and you can use a number of different things. Just look through your stuff and see what you have. These are some large jump rings, which will be another option that I'll be showing you as we go on with the tutorial. And just, you can use your imagination to get creative, and all different types of things that we can use here. Some decorative charms that you can attach to your wire, to your tassels as well. Okay, and then you have these. These, if you can fit your tassels through there, if you're not going to do a thick one, you can also hang charms off of those. So those are pretty fun, and I have done some earrings with those. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, so now that we've got our cardboard, you could do it one way or the other way. Either way, if it's too long, you can trim it. So now we're going to start it by pulling it. And remember, you can use 2 or 1 or 3 to make it as thick as you want. I'm just going to use 1 per earring for the set. So now when you're doing this, you're going to want to let a piece hang a little. It doesn't have to hang off a lot, but the beginning and the end should be hanging. See how I have the little piece hanging like that? That is going to be your starter piece. You can go ahead and trim that later, so don't worry about it. Okay? And now we're going to go ahead, move and clear the space, and we're going to wind. But keep your finger down so that you're holding that, because otherwise the thread will move. And when you're winding it, you want to make sure that you bunch it up every now and then and move it. Keep them neat, keep it tight, keep them all together, and just keep winding and winding. Okay, now that we've got that far, you can see how neat that is. I bunched it up nice and tight, and the beginning and the end pieces always hang. Okay, so now we're going to get a piece of wire for this one. And we will trim the excess off, so don't worry about that right now. We're just going to use some wire. You can use thick or thin wire depending on what gauge you desire. I used 15 gauge. So now you're going to go scoop it up like that underneath it and get it to the top of the cardboard. And now you're going to twist it. You're going to take it and you're going to twist it slowly, but only about 2 or 3 times. Just take one piece and wrap it around the other piece of wire. So again, you're going to only do it about 2 to 3 times, and do it as neat and as tight as you can. And then we're going to go and take our jewelry tools and tighten them up and flatten them out. So here it is. I'm going to show it to you. See? It's really only 2 or 3 times I tightened it. Now I'm going to trim the excess off later, but right now, if I want to make sure that this is the way I want it, because we're going to slip the bead cap over it. So let's trim one part of the excess and leave the longer piece attached. Make sure you get every excess bit off. And then we're going to take our tools and we're going to make sure that the pieces that we wrapped around are together and that they're tight. So you might have to like squish them and pull them together so that it's neat. You know, you're not going to see these. These will be under the bead cap. See? And then we pull the longer piece of wire through the bead cap. Now we don't want to trim that yet. Okay, so we're going to flatten this out and see how we like it. Now you can go ahead and trim the starter and end pieces if they're getting in your way at this point, but don't worry about trimming the whole tassel. We can do that later because in order to work better with it, it's better when it's wet, and then you can go ahead and trim it and give it a good cut. It'll come out even. It's easier to manage. Okay, so now we have this piece of wire, and we want to leave enough because we do have to make a loop, but also we want to see if we want to add a bead or some decorative item to the top of it. So I was thinking maybe this bead, but I'm not really sure. I like it, but I don't think so. So let me go and look and see what kind of bead I have. I like this. It's shiny. I think it'll look nice. Now you don't have to use anything, but I think it adds more to it. See? That bead looks nice. I think I'll go with this one. Okay. Now, once you look at it, you determine how much wire you're going to need. If you're happy with the bead and everything that you chose, go ahead and look at it, see how that is. I really like that bead. Now see how much room you need. Remember to cut just enough so that you can make your loop at the end for your earring hook. Okay, so we are going to go in with our cutters and we're going to make sure that we don't take off too much because it's better to have a little extra than not enough. Alright, so now that we've done that, we got to make sure that we'll pull everything down and see how that works. Might have to take off a little more, just a little bit. Okay. Okay, now that I pretty much have it the way I want, I'm going to take my round nose pliers and I'm going to make a loop. Keeping in mind that you have to hook the fish hook to it. So I did it like left to right because the fish hook will be front to back. So make sure that you pay attention to the way you're making the loop, see? Because you want the earrings to lay a certain way. So don't forget that when making the loop, that when your fish hook goes in, it's going to lay a certain way. Okay, so now I've got that finished. And I wet it so that I can trim it before I put the fish hook on it. And we wet it because it managed better and that you can get a good trim to it, just like when you get your hair cut, you wet it. So you just do that and then you do a nice trim and any little pieces that are sticking out you can get. Okay, let's see how that looks. See how nice that is? Now don't worry about it. It will definitely dry and it'll puff up. It's easier if you're storing your tassel earrings and they get all messed up. Just wet them, flatten them, smooth them out, and then they'll dry nice and puffy. Okay, now we're going to get the fish hooks for your earrings. You can use any kind of earring wire that you want. I chose these. So I'm going to go ahead and get them. There they are, see? These are the ones that I'm going to use. Now we go and look at the way the loop is, and we make sure that the earring fish hook faces the other way, because you don't want to have the loop one way and the fish hook the other way, otherwise you'll get the side of your earring. And being that I used a flat sort of bead cap and not a round one, I had to be careful of that. So be sure that you're mindful of that if you use a bead cap like that. Okay, so I put my fish hook in, and now I'm taking my round nose pliers and I'm going to close them. Make sure they're closed and secure, because you don't want your ear hook to come off of your earring and then you end up losing your earring. Okay, so now when you're sure that it's nice and secure, there it is. I'm finished. So now I just have to go ahead and make the other matching part of the earring. So I have my set complete. So I start the process all over again. I get my cardboard, my scissors, my embroidery floss. I take the embroidery floss and I lay the beginning piece. Make sure you give enough to that, because you have to hold on to that. Because if you don't have a little hanging, then that can pull and it gets all messed up. And again, make sure that you're keeping them all together and nice and tight. Okay, so now that you're sure that it's nice and tight and everything, you want to make sure before you cut it. So here I already did that for time's sake, since you already saw the first one. And now my pear is all ready. See how nice that is? Now they're both wet and they'll dry. And now I'm going to do the pink and the blue. Okay, so in time it'll puff up. You have to wet it, and it tames it a little, it shapes it, but they will fluff out. So let's get started with the next one. But look how nice that looks. See? It's nice and wide and fluffy. They're wet now, so I'm going to let them dry. And here's my next one, the pink ones. Now, for time's sake, I already went ahead and did that. I used some wire and a large jump ring. Don't worry, I'll be explaining how I did that. Again, you take your cardboard. I got a new piece of cardboard because the other one got too mushy. Now, sorry about my camera issues. Again, the camera was slowing up. You could also use some of this dead soft, multicolored wire to wrap around if you didn't want to just use silver. So with these pink ones, I used a jump ring at the top instead of putting my wire through the top like I did with the last pair. And then I wrapped wire right around there, and I took my pliers and I made sure with my working tools that everything was neat and tight, just like that. And that's it. There was no bead caps or beads. And then all I had to do was hook up my fish hooks for my earrings, whatever kind that you want. So I'll get back to those, but with the blue ones, I was going to make them kind of the same way with the flat bead caps that I used on the coral colored ones. Again, making sure that it looks like this with your beginning and end piece sticking out and having it nice and tight and all together. It's very important you do that, because if it's messed up and bunched up, then it won't look nice. Okay, I already went ahead and put the wire in like I did with my first pair. Now, there they are. So there they are. They're nice. They're done. You can do them all different ways. I used 2 different types of beads on top of those bead caps. One round, the other like a long connector. Just go ahead and wrap your wire around the part where it is the pink ones, and a large jump ring. It's very easy to do. You could see a close-up of that, and one looks a little darker because it's still wet, and it's always good to wet them to tame them. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions, please put them in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell for future notifications, and like this video. So thanks for watching, and I hope I'll see you on my next video. Bye.